The Toronto Raptors have made their first and hopefully not their last move at the trade deadline after acquiring Jakob Poeltl from the San Antonio Spurs. We're going to react to the trade and discuss why this should mean more trades are on the way. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Amateur Hour TV. This is the channel where you get additional NBA-related content with a focus on the Toronto Raptors that we want to get out quickly. Quick reaction to the trade because overnight while I was sleeping, the Raptors did acquire Jakob Poeltl. Full reaction to that coming along the way. Apologies for my voice. I am losing my voice, but it's trade deadline day. So I got to soldier through and still get this video done. And that is exactly what we are going to do here. But if you want to see more content like this, additional content in this sort of setting, then please make sure you're subscribed to this channel and make sure you drop a like to show your support. This is, again, my second channel. My main channel is right here, Amateur Hour Sports, which there should be a video on later today recapping everything that went down. But the trade, the first domino to fall for the Raptors is here. And Jakob Poeltl returns to the team. It's as I predicted yesterday morning. I said the San Antonio Spurs were in town to play the Raptors. Jakob Poeltl was going to arrive with San Antonio, but he was going to stay and not leave with the team. And that is the case because Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, reports, well, it seems that it is final at this point, that Jakob Poeltl is going to be with the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors, in exchange, have sent over Khem Birch and a 2024 first-round pick with protections, along with 2 second-round picks. On the surface, right away, I think it's a pretty solid deal for the Raptors. They don't give up much, and they get the rim protection that they desperately need. Jakob Poeltl is a very good rim-protecting big. On the offensive end, he can be a playmaking big. I think he complements Pascal Siakam quite well, and it does make the Raptors a better team for the rest of this season. Well, we'll see what happens with other trades, but for now, it has made us a better team for this season. That's not important. It has made us a better team, more importantly, like I said, for next season and the future. I would be really shocked if this trade was made without any sort of agreement or any sort of discussion as to extending Poeltl beyond this season. But the protections, I'm going to assume it's a lottery protected 2024 first. I'd be upset if it was anything, let's say, worse for us than top 10 protected. If it's less than top 10 protected, I'd be pretty upset. But if this is lottery protected, even better if it's top 20 protected, but I doubt that. This is a solid move by the Raptors. I like this one to a good degree. I said that Jakob Poeltl fits the team very well. At the moment, there is some spacing issues at the moment, and there's some more retooling needed to be done, but it's a full day to get all those done. I am assuming here that this is just the first domino to fall for the Raptors and that more is on the way, and there are a number of reasons why. First of all, from a starting five perspective, if you keep the team as it is, Jakob Poeltl pretty much has to start if you're trading for him like that. That would probably move Gary Trent Jr. to the bench. So your starting five would be VanVleet, Anunoby, Siakam, Barnes, Poeltl. That would be a pretty big disaster from a floor spacing standpoint. So more things would need to be on the way for the Raptors to make sense there if they are to keep the team as it is. But I seriously doubt that is the case because I just outlined how disastrous the team would be from a spacing standpoint. Second of all, Jakob Poeltl, I mean, like I said, I would expect there to be some sort of at least discussion agreement in place as to an extension for the player to stay with the Raptors beyond this season. I like that. But you still got to pay him. I don't think you have to pay him a huge amount of money. Miles Turner just signed for $20 million a year for the next 2 years. So if Miles Turner's making 20, you probably shouldn't be paying Poeltl up to $20 million, but in the mid-10s, maybe like 17 is something that you could sit around. I'd be comfortable going up to 18, but I'd like to get him around 16, maybe even a little bit less for Jakob Poeltl. But you got to pay him. You also have to pay Fred VanVleet. You also have to pay Gary Trent Jr. These are two guys who are going to get more money than Jakob Poeltl would get. You can't pay everybody. One of those guys is going to have to go today. If one of those guys does not go today and we have to pay all three at the end of the season, which likely wouldn't happen, maybe one would leave for free or maybe a sign and trade, but that's a big gamble. But I would suggest you got to trade one of those guys. And also, you are losing that 2024 first, which it does sting. Like you're retooling. Draft picks are important for your depth, but I'm hoping that another trade today can recoup some young assets and some picks. Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr. might be able to do that. OG Anunoby definitely could. If you're looking to recoup assets, recoup picks, a big OG Anunoby trade could be on the cards. But I would have rather they done nothing than do this if they do nothing for the rest of the day. So I very much feel like at this point, something else has to be on the way. There's just no way you're paying all of Jakob Poeltl, Fred VanVleet, and Gary Trent Jr. So something is going to happen there. Beyond that, in terms of assets, OG Anunoby might be another name where you get a really big package at the trade deadline. One issue with this trade, and some people are highlighting it, I really don't like the going back to a draft and saying, well, this guy went after your pick, so you should have just drafted him with that pick. So the Raptors had, I believe it was what turned into the 21st overall pick in the previous draft that they traded at last year's deadline to get Thaddeus Young into the team. Now, we used the second that we got back from the Spurs to draft Christian Koloko, who we're pretty big fans of, but he's not there yet. People are upset that you drafted Koloko and now you just traded for a center, so Koloko isn't going to play as much. Well, Koloko already doesn't play much, and Koloko already didn't start. You need to have a big on your bench, and that's the big for your bench now. That's the big on your bench that makes sense to have for your team. Koloko is not there yet. He's not going to be there next season. Question marks if he'll be there the season after that. But the season after that one, 3 years from now, well, there's a decision to make in 3 years and there's a decision to make in 3 years. But for the now, we needed a rim protector. Koloko wasn't going to be that guy now, and he wasn't going to be that guy next season. Now, there's a lot of upside I see with the player, but he's a project sort of player. He's a project sort of player. But people are upset. Well, you had that pick in the 20s. Why didn't you just draft Walker Kessler down there? Well, hindsight's 2020. I really hate just looking back like it's so simple, like the Raptors, that's the guy they would have drafted in that position, because it's never that easy. Like the Utah Jazz got Walker Kessler in that Minnesota Timberwolves deal. Do you think if Minnesota knew how good Walker Kessler was going to be, they would have traded him? No, we don't know these things. We don't know these things until we didn't know how good Walker Kessler was until a month ago. We didn't know these things a year ago when we traded that pick. And if you go back to the pick, like a lot of people just think it's either you win a championship or you failed, where the Raptors were like a play-in team at the deadline last year. They get Thaddeus Young. He's not like the catalyst, obviously, but he's an important part of the Raptors going on that run second half of the season, winning 48 games, becoming the 5th seed. And Thaddeus Young was great in the playoffs as well. Now, you still lost in the first round. That's what people are going to say. Well, you still lost in the first round. It doesn't make a difference. Well, at the time, the Raptors improved. We fell 10, 15 picks in the draft. We still got a center that we are pretty happy with. And Thaddeus Young made a difference last year. You can't say he didn't. Now this year, the money we gave him is a little bit, that might be a little bit too much. But I don't like looking back in hindsight. Well, you easily could have just drafted Walker Kessler there. We don't know. We didn't know at the time what was going on. In hindsight, yeah, we could have had Walker Kessler. But you have to take the stance from when the decision was made. When the decision was made, it made a certain amount of sense and it really helped us go on a run for the rest of the season. But Jakob Poeltl is the franchise center. I like it. It's a good fit with Pascal Siakam. I like it for that reason as well. It's going to significantly improve our defense going forward. I like that. Koloko's going to be the backup. I'm a fan of that as well. There's a lot to like about this trade, but there's a lot to dislike if nothing else happens for the rest of the day. But starting off the day, I think this is on a good note. I wish they didn't do it overnight when I was asleep, up early to start working, but solid start to the day. More to come. Like I said, I'd be upset if nothing did happen, but I expect more to happen here. You can't pay all of Fred, Gary, and Jakob. So Something's got to give. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that like button. I am destroying my vocal cords for content today, so I would appreciate the support with a like. And also, you can subscribe to Amateur Hour TV for more videos and content just like this.